Gerardo, man, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Small reminder. Some of our speakers are speaking in English, some of them are speaking in Spanish. The next one is in English, but if you guys need headphones to understand our English, our Spanish-speaking speakers, in the back, headphones, all you need is your ID. Para todos los que no están alcanzando a entender a nuestros hablantes en inglés, por favor, les recuerdo que en la parte de atrás hay audífonos con los que nos podemos apoyar para entender qué es lo que están diciendo. Lo único que necesitamos son nuestras identificaciones y se nos entregan. Another small reminder, we have several stands of Blink, My Premier Bitcoin, we're selling books. There's Don Rafael, one of our local Berlineses. He has actual Salvadoran coins from, you know, the first one that were made here in El Salvador, and like old bills that you can go and check all the old money that it's no longer in usage because now we're using Bitcoin. So up next, this is the part where our stage becomes international. I'm calling up France next to the stage with Nicolas Burtey, co-founder of Blink Wallet and founder of Galoy. One small thing. This is amazing right now to have him on stage because the first contact that many Berlineses have had of Bitcoin is actually the Blink Wallet. That's what they use every day. That's how they know Bitcoin, and that's the app through the in which they actually understand how it works. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I'm very glad to be here. I want to talk about beyond merchant adoption today. I think what we have done in Berlin is a tremendous achievement. The fact that, you know, all of you are here today, and the fact that there is 100+ merchants accepting Bitcoin in Berlin is really an awesome first step. Is it the highest growth in terms of Bitcoin local economy in the world here? Maybe that could be the case. A way to think about it is, you know, el futuro está aquí, at least if we think about payment system. And here is some of the great picture of people teaching about Bitcoin, using card, ball card to pay with Bitcoin. But I want to think about the idea about promoting the number of the merchant as a key KPIs of success. So this picture was taken a couple of days ago in Los Cabanos for the halving party, where Charlie and Gitao were pitching, hey, you should come to this conference in Berlin. And you can see the title of the slide, right? It's 100+ merchants. But I want to ask whether the success of a local circular economy in Bitcoin should be measured by how many merchants have Bitcoin accepted here signed in a town. Just to illustrate my point, you know, let's imagine there is two towns. Town A, 50 merchants, and there is maybe 5 Bitcoiners, you know, that are spending daily their Bitcoin in those places. And another town have 10 merchants, and there is 25 spender. You know, and if you think about, okay, each Bitcoiner is making 1 transaction per day, which one have a better local circular economy? You know, it's not the one with 50 merchants, because here you will get 5 transactions per day, assuming each Bitcoiner do 1 transaction per day. Here you get 25 transactions per day, right? You get 5 times more number of payments. So when you get a lot of merchants accepted here, signed in a town, you know, what should you think about? You should think about how many people are paying with Bitcoin. Very importantly, you should think about how much of the payments you make are staying in Bitcoin. which come down to a concept called velocity of money. And what really is the velocity of money in a town like Berlin? Velocity of money is an economic term that have a few components, and here is a mathematical formula to think about it. So this is a velocity. P is for price, T is for number of transactions, and M is your nominal base, how much money there is in the system. You can forget about P, price is not really relevant. Of course, the higher the price, you buy, the higher velocity there is, but the point is that there is T, number, how many transactions there is, and M, which is how many Bitcoin there is in circulation. I believe to get a successful circular economy, you really need to think about two things, right? Get a lot of transactions, so basically increase the velocity by increasing how many people are making transactions every day in a particular geography. But also importantly, it is to have a high denominator, meaning how many Bitcoin are in circulation, right? Is there like $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, $10 million? You want this number to be high. You want this number to be higher as how many dollars there is in circulation. But let's think about how do you increase velocity in a place like Berlin. Probably the number one input here is don't convert it to fiat, right? If you're a merchant or if you're paying to merchants and they take your Bitcoin and then they sell it and you go back to the fiat system, you can think about what does it do for like your local circular economy. And I'm myself a culprit of that. Like, I'm living in San Salvador. I love going to PriceMart or Walmart or La Dispensaire de Juan or Starbucks or McDonald's at times. I know this is fiat food, but what do those merchants do? They take my Bitcoin. I'm happy I have the impression of living in a Bitcoin circular economy, but they sell it. The first time they take your Bitcoin, basically there is their payment processor in the background is having a sell order on an exchange, and those Bitcoin are going back to the fiat system. When you spend your Bitcoin in PriceMart, you don't participate in creation of a local circular economy. If you think about it and come back to the velocity of money, what does it do is like M doesn't change. Like you're not increasing the number of Bitcoin in circulation because those Bitcoin are being sold. You're just creating one transaction, right, from me to like a merchant, and that's it. And those Bitcoin are not being circulating back. A key point on don't convert it back to fiat. You may think, okay, like Blink have a feature called stable stats, which is the idea of like, maybe I don't have the ability to actually manage the volatility of Bitcoin, right? I need this money tomorrow, and I can't afford a 20% price drop tomorrow. The key point about whether you use a Bitcoin native product or you go back to fiat is that if I keep my money in something like StableSat, then tomorrow I'm ready to pay over the Bitcoin network. If I convert it to fiat, maybe I get cash, maybe I'm going to the banking system, I can use ACH. I no longer have the ability to do a payment in Bitcoin, which is one of the key differences between whether you use a Bitcoin native product or whether you go back to fiat. But the point here is that you can still manage your volatility and stay in Bitcoin. And that's a key property of creating a local circular economy. All right, second point, orange pill your supplier, right? Of course, why do people come back to fiat in the first place? They go back to fiat because they, look, I have bill to pay, and my supplier, like, they want physical cash. They want like a payments that go through the fiat system, and this is why I'm going back to fiat. But of course, if you want to increase the money supply and you need to stay in Bitcoin, what does this mean? It means you need to orange pill your supplier, which is, easier thing said than done. Luckily, I think the last 18 months was maybe hard to orange pill your supplier, but now the fact that the price is appreciating, give you a great argument to reconsider whether you want to pay your supplier with fiat or whether you want to try to convince him to accept your Bitcoin. Another point to consider is like, okay, we want people to it should be easy to acquire Bitcoin. And today it's like if you're in El Salvador, if you have a bank account, it's reasonably easy to do. If you don't, that's not that straightforward. You need to find an ATM. There is 100 ATM in the country. It's not that much for Bitcoin ATM. There's a lot more cash ATM, obviously, from bank in the country. A way to think about it is, why not make maybe every Chenda that accepts Bitcoin, give them the tool to become a Bitcoin exchange so that they can facilitate buy and sell Bitcoin. It's one way to think about it. Lastly, another example is is to really go from Bitcoin accepted here to Bitcoin preferred here. Today, the mentality is to say, okay, I really maybe want Bitcoin, so I will give you a discount if you pay me in Bitcoin, right? Like Bitcoin is a better money. So let's say I'm selling a product for $100. I give you 5% if you pay me in Bitcoin, right? So it would be $95. But think about the idea of giving a discount for paying for Bitcoin. It's not great. Like, why is it discount? Like, is Bitcoin should be discounted, or what does it mean? And here another way to think about it is like, my price is $100 and it's Bitcoin preferred here, so I want Bitcoin. If you pay me in fiat, you will have to pay for a premium for it, because I don't want fiat. Like, I have chargeback. I have, the idea of processing payment over fiat is more expensive than processing payment over Bitcoin, so there should be a premium for fiat. And then you completely shift the mindset, and you encourage payment over Bitcoin. What can Galoy and Blink do in all this? We're developing a lot of different features, but we're currently experimenting with the idea of printing voucher for peer-to-peer selling in Bitcoin, so that Chenda can easily sell Bitcoin. Another feature that is highly requested is the idea to have many accounts on your wallet. Like, a lot of people have individual accounts and they have like business accounts. And for them, it's not possible to switch between them, and they want segregate accounting. Maybe they're being orange pill as an individual, but now they want the business to accept Bitcoin. But if they cannot have segregate accounting, it's difficult for them. We also want to combine our map with BTC map integration. If there are any open source developer, we would love to have help from you. And if you have any other idea, please come talk to me. I have 1 minute for a question. Thank you. If there is any question, there is two in the back.
How does the voucher system works?
The idea is that, let's say I want to buy $10 worth of Bitcoin, you're a Chenda, I'm a user, I want to buy Bitcoin, I have a $10 bill. I go to the Chenda prints, it could be LNURL withdraw, QR code. I get a ticket, and I can scan it with any LNURL withdraw compatible wallet, and then I get my $10, for instance. So that's an easy way to think about it. And if I don't have a printer, I can maybe share your link. But the idea is you get a sort of a voucher code or a coupon that you can redeem the Bitcoin later. And if the Chenda have a printer, like a Bitcoinized POS, then it's easy to get the redeem step of the Bitcoin at a later point. So I don't have to have internet. I can just get this QR code and I redeem later. Good.
Yeah. A couple of us had an idea of just expressing some goodwill as a motivator to local entrepreneurs who were doing exactly as you said. They take the Bitcoin in and they pop it right into fiat. And so you feel, you say, shucks, you're not getting the benefit that we hope for you. Capitalization in the community, all that stuff. So you're putting your finger right on a very, a careful thing. It occurred to us the idea, and I wonder what your thought is about it, just to demonstrate goodwill, not the permanent solution. I, for example, and a couple of us said to a lady we go to eat breakfast in the morning, Gilda, I'm going to give you $1 extra above the bill if you promise to put it in the Bitcoin and leave it in there. Maybe I should be telling her, put it into stable coins and leave it there. Or maybe I should be saying something a little bit different because I'm not really an expert in anything. But that was just a way of, and they seemed to like that. They seemed to say, well, that's nice. Are you sure? And I said, yeah, you remind me because, I'm an old guy. And if I'm going to pay $3 for breakfast, you just say, y David, $1? And I said, yeah, okay. Put another dollar on the and you promise to save it. There's no inspection, no double checking, just an expression of confidence in the overall mission. I don't know, do you think that has any little bit of traction to help move things forward?
Maybe, question is like, does this person need the dollar or sats to pay for food tomorrow, right? I think it's hard to consider that you can live on a Bitcoin standard where you don't have the ability to save. That said, I think there is another frequent feature request that we get with it, which is, to your point, will there be an ability in the Blick wallet to have like a hidden account so that I can save into this account, but it doesn't come back to me every time I open the wallet, right? So that it can be something in the background. Maybe I put, $10 every month, and then it go over time. So I think there is I get your point, and there may be a way for us to think about, encourage a saving behavior. But I really think to save, you need the ability to have extra income. It should really come down to that. Like, do you have more revenues and you have expenses? And if you don't, like, it's a hard pitch, I think.